Like knowledge is like your private property. Like no one can take that from you. You can go like through some really tough times, but your knowledge is something that no one can take from you. I like to say that your name and your knowledge, those are the things you need to protect.
Welcome to Becoming Her, the podcast where we talk about becoming heard without filters and without bitterness. It's with you, your host, Estefania. Here, through sweet coffee tables conversations, this is a space for women who are still learning, unlearning, and choosing themselves every day. So grab your coffee and get comfortable. My guest today is Lorena Mendes. Welcome, Lorena.
Thank you for the invite, Stephanie. It's really great to be here.
Thank you for being here. Lorena and I became friends this year in January, thanks to the TIFAS program in Santiago, Chile. And so today, she's gonna talk to us about her, but also how is she becoming the woman she wants to be, working in organizations in Brazil. So, Lorena, can you start introducing yourself?
So, yeah, sure. I like to think of my path kind of a journey from curiosity to conviction. So, growing up in Brazil, you see firsthand how bureaucracy and legal instability can stifle people's dreams. It basically destroys it. So, this led me to law school. I decided to go to law school when I was really young, and I just kept that in mind. And I'm now in my final year. Currently, I'm also an intern at a corporate law firm that operates with a libertarian mindset, which helps me a lot. It's really rare in Brazil. And beyond the office, I've built a solid bridge between academia and activism. So besides being a TIFAS alumna, just as you, I'm also a member of Lexum. That's a group of pro-marketed lawyers and entrepreneurs. And I'm also part of a program recently called Young Talent at Millennium Institute, also here in Brazil. So it's focused on people between 18 and 30 years. And you can write articles here for Brazil or another country, being in events. It's pretty cool. And so my career is basically being built on the idea that law shouldn't be a barrier to prosperity, but the framework that guarantees it.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good, and it's really glad to hear like your contribution to society, especially starting by yourself and how you start like describing yourself. So like this desire to like contribute to society, this started when you were a child or when you were in college. How did everything started for you?
So I guess like before finding my community, I lived in a state of intellectual solitude. In my early college years and early activism, I was often the only woman in the room during libertarian debates. So I was
Wow.
passionate about the hard side of libertarianism, economy, fiscal responsibility, and the rule of law. I remember being in my high school and hearing things like I was like defending freedom, and people was like, no, no, it's all about equality. And I was like one of the, I think maybe the only woman that was like, no, no, maybe free markets, maybe we can work and like conquer our freedom and don't be all about, oh, maybe the state should do that. And I was like, maybe we have an easier way somehow. But I lacked a space where I could see those ideas through a female lens of leadership. I discovered the Iron Lady Institute, that's here in Brazil, and Lola, that is worldwide almost. While searching for a way to translate theory into impact, I was studying classical liberalism for quite some time, but it was all books and theory. I didn't have like something concrete to act on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined these both institutes because I realized that for libertarianism to really flourish in Brazil, it needed women who weren't just participating, but leading the intellectual and technical change.
So how do you like start like discovering like other movements just for women? How do you like find your own voice within all other women's like in other spaces behind like beside the classroom?
So I think it was firstly through Students for Liberty, a friend of
Mm-hmm.
mine that studied with me in high school, but it was a little older. He was kind of seeing that maybe I was a libertarian. I think he found that out before me. I usually didn't put like a label on it. I just had some thoughts. I knew that most people didn't think like me, but then I joined Students for Liberty, and it really opened a door for me. So my first deep experience was with the Iron Lady Institute, where I started as a translator and rose to translator manager and writer there. it was like a baptism by fire for me in the best way. Because for the first time, I wasn't just the woman in the room. I was a key player in a think tank. It's also called Iron Lady because of Margaret Thatcher, which I think it's pretty cool. And the feeling of being in a space where women were supporting by my ideas was incredibly empowering. Like I kind of felt hurt and I felt like, oh, maybe I can really do something here. And it allowed me to produce my academic paper that is now published, thank God, on how Margaret Thatcher's governance could save Brazilian libertarianism. So it's basically like studying how Margaret Thatcher saved England back her time and like comparing to Brazil's scenario and maybe some things we could learn from her. And in that environment, my ambition wasn't seen as too much. It was seen as the standard, which in that context was really great. I really think that we shouldn't be the better minds in the tables. It's really better if you sit with people that are better than you. You can learn from that, and I think that was precisely the feeling I got.
So when did you started listening to all of these ideas, like of libertarianism? Like apart from high school that you were talking about, you were involved in debates. People start like listening to you and like helping you to discover that you were like a libertarian. Where did all these values started? Did they start at home? Like did someone older than you inspire you where you're like reading just books and this is how all started?
So I was born in a time in Brazil that our government was already really left wing. Like I could see
Mm-hmm.
like my parents didn't like much the government. So when I was growing up and we had like a really corruption scandal back in 2014. I was 10 years old back at
Mm-hmm.
the time, but I remember like my parents watching the news and like making some critics about it. So I think I had those memories that maybe that wasn't the right thing. And I could see like in the high school that while some girls were like all about the feminism and that side that maybe oh we all hate men and those part of things, I usually believe that if the men really have the voice in society, and I agree with that, like in some subjects they can be heard more than us, I think we should maybe join them and use that in your favor and not be like they don't worth it. I was like, that's not convenient. Like if you're fighting to have more voice, maybe you should fight, use the ones that already has that voice and make something useful from that. So I was always focusing on that. So usually we always had a joke between me and my colleagues that maybe when you have some debate and most of the teachers that were women were feminists, you usually have like a feminist raising her hand to debate and the
Yeah.
conservative boy like raising the hand. I was always like in the midterm, so I wasn't like all conservative, but I wasn't like
Yeah.
the one raising the hand to be the feminist. So I was using like solving the debate. So maybe we can meet in the middle. Like maybe we can do that. So I think it was basically that. Like I was seeing that the way people were doing wasn't working. And I think the idea of freedom was really natural to me. Like, so maybe debates like LGBT and women rights, I was like, if we respect each other's individuals as individuals and their freedom, like you kind of solve that. Like, I know it's like utopic to think like that, but I think maybe we should aim there and not being like, oh, we're all equal, because we're not. Like, it's not in our nature. So we're kind of fighting against our nature and being free is our nature. So I think it's more worth to spend my energy focusing on that.
You just said a phrase that just like caught my attention completely, and you were saying the fact of like freedom and that you just say we're not equals. Like, how do you like explain this idea to like younger generations? How this concept comes from a libertarian meaning?
Well, that's a fight I like to buy, but oh, it's a great fight here, at least here in Brazil, I guess. I'm also in a Gen Z, so I think I'm speaking to my generation maybe. But I think that people are so focused on saying like male, female are equals. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
should just make the best of the differences. Like I think being different doesn't mean that one is better than the other. They're just different. Like it's just that. So you don't have to like think too much, overthink about being different. You just go from the point that that's the truth. It is different. But well, it's different and maybe we have different qualities. So maybe a woman can be
Mm-hmm.
really great like dealing with small details and having a mind really focused on doing like many things and being great at doing many things. Men are usually better at doing like one thing really great, but they usually like focus on just one thing. Women, I don't know about you, but we're doing like all the things all the time. We can handle
Yeah,
that.
like
So
multitasking too.
exactly. So like we're different, but I don't think that's bad. Like great, we can do a lot of things maybe faster. There are some areas that we can work that we're usually and I don't see the problem at being different.
Mhm.
I think like even if you don't think like male and female, like women and men, but like as individuals, like I have some things that I think I think like you think the same as me. But I'm sure we have our differences. And I think that that's a special thing. Like that's the great thing
Yeah.
about society. Like we can join the debate and like we can agree to disagree. Usually in Brazil we say that like I respect that you have the right to have opinion. I don't think you should say like you respect your opinion because I think if I think different than the other person, I respect her right to have an opinion. Maybe I don't respect her opinion because I think
Mhm.
mine has it's more right, maybe. Or maybe not, it's the other way around. But I think everyone should have a right to say something, to think something
It's part
about
of
it.
freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of freedom.
And I think if you're too focused on say like everybody's equal, everybody's everything, you make people do some choices from the group and not thinking by themselves. So like I remember like Simone de Beauvoir from feminism. She was really strong in that thought. And she used to say that women shouldn't be able to choose to be at home and raise her children. So she didn't say it wasn't a good option. She said women shouldn't be able to choose it because if women were able to choose it, some of them would. Like some of the women don't dream about working and having like a great job. Some women just want her family and to raise her child and have those things, which is beautiful. So saying that women shouldn't have the option, like women should choose to work. Like I really want to have like a great career, but I like maybe some women wouldn't agree with me. And it's all fine. Like great, we have some people like focusing on other things. Like I'm acting law. If all people were like they had jobs in the law area, what would we do about doctors, medicine, and
Yeah.
teachers? Like what would do you do about that then? So I think we should really celebrate our differences. We shouldn't be focusing on like making them smaller and just trying
Mhm.
to be all the same. We're not. And I think it's really great that we're not.
Yeah. So when you started in all working for like women organizations, when you became part of them, did you have like a mentorship? Did you have like someone you can say now you admire because like it gave to you like more knowledge, it gave you like more education? How was that part of like mentorship?
Yeah, I had that friend that I mentioned that was like
Hmm.
taking my hand and say like, well, you have some potential, let's use that.
Yeah.
So I don't live in a great city in Brazil, it's a really small one, but he was like picking me to go to some events and talking about, I just started talking about freedom for women all the way. Like it was the
Hmm.
first thing that I was talking about. And I was 17 at the time. So I started like really young. I really had this kind of vote of confidence from him, and it really helps. And I think like more recently, I had Leticia Barros, that is currently the Lola Brazil president. I was her
Hmm.
vice president from January to September last year. I unfortunately had to leave due to my college. So I had to study and everything and got pretty hard to do all the things. But she's really great. She's really a hard worker. And I learned so much from her. Like she was that kind of person that's all about the work and all about making it work. So it was really a great surprise when she asked me to be her vice president because I wasn't expecting it. I was a member of Lola, but I wasn't that active. I was just like
Hmm.
seeing the Instagram and doing some things like that. Then she called me like in January 2025 and she was like, "Oh, I have to ask you something." And I was like, "Oh, sure, like I trust you." And she was like, "Do you want to be my vice president?" I was like, "Are you crazy? Like I'm not part of it. Like I don't know if you should. And she was like, no, no, but I want someone that's not really here, like believes us, believe in Lola, but it's not like inside. So maybe you can have another perspective. And that was really important to me, like someone trusting me that much with such a high place in Brazil. So I think those super people. But Leticia is really great.
So now that you mentioned like you were chose to be like the vice president and like you couldn't believe that part, you couldn't believe you were chosen by, was there like a moment when you discovered in the organization that you were not like changing something else but like discovering yourself, like helping yourself to discover you, like empowering yourself too, despite like empowering others?
Well, there was for sure. So there was kind of a clear turning point when I realized these organizations weren't like molding me, they were like unveiling me. So as
Mm-hmm.
vice president of Lola Brazil, I discovered that my passion for the dry and technical parts of the law was actually my greatest strength. So it's kind of weird to have something that really like that part, but I think
Yeah.
it's really necessary to have someone that wants to understand that. And mostly I want to like simplificate it. So if I can like kind of translate the hard parts to other people, then maybe I can inform them more. And these groups helped me realize that I didn't need to change my interests to fit into a female movement. Rather, my techno focus on tax and finance that are subjects that I really like was exactly what the movement needed. So I didn't have to like discover and change myself. I just could be like a legal strategist who values economic freedom and values individual rights and the rule of law. So I was like, oh, I can be that person. Like I don't need to maybe change, maybe adapt. I just have a space where I can be me. And I can help being me. So that was really great.
That's so great. It's helping to discover yourself while you're also
Yeah.
helping others to discover themselves and join the organization too. Was there like a moment where you felt like maybe that was like not your space, but maybe you start like doubting about yourself and about your capacities, or someone like told you something that you didn't like or that was not like empowerment at all?
I have that time. As I said, I joined Students for Liberty first. I was a
Yeah.
volunteer there, like a local coordinator. And at some point I could rise to be a program associate. So I could be like in the paid job right
Yeah.
there, part of the staff, which was really great for me. And the staff was really cool. But it was kind of a wanted job. People desired that place. So it was a place that all things were pointed to me. They were like, I felt like so observed, like I couldn't get wrong. So if I
Mhm.
planned like some training, it will always be like someone criticizing it. So it's really hard to shut your mind and focus. Like, well, my boss would be criticizing me if it was really bad. Like we usually did some like tasks to people to evaluate like if the training was good, if it wasn't, and those results were pretty great, but you keep hearing people saying that maybe you don't deserve to be there, maybe you just
Yeah.
got lucky, maybe you didn't try enough. I was also really young when I got the job. Like I'm 21 now. I was just turning 20 when I got the job. So it was pretty hard for the mind, like to just focusing on doing your thing and not hearing
Mhm.
other opinions, because I think you should hear opinions about from other people, but it really matters who are saying it. So the person that's saying it, that person really works well. Like it's something that really is worried about the result. It's maybe something that didn't want you in that position because it's you, and the person maybe really wanted your job because it's you and it's not them. That's the problem. So that was really something that made me like grow up emotionally and learn how to deal with those things. I think that happens in all kind of jobs. Maybe when you got promoted. I think really for women that goes like heavy. I don't
Yeah.
remember any woman saying that to me. At least well, I didn't know. I don't know about it if someone said it. But man, oh my God, that was really bad. Like you don't deserve to be that, and like they treated me like weak. So you had
Mhm.
that guy saying like, "Oh, don't worry, I can help you," and I was like, "I'm not asking for help. because I had my colleagues and at the staff, and we usually help each other, but it's different. Like I had a volunteer. I had some friends that were really helping, and it was like, oh, I'm in SFL for a longer time. Maybe I can show you some things, and that was great. But it's really different from the person that say, "Oh, poor girl, well, I can help." And I was like, "No, no, I'm fine. Like, don't
Yeah,
worry about me. I'm
you
doing
can make
great.
it. Yeah,
It's
probably.
really great." So I had those things. I had this gossip going around, and it was really bad, like for my mental health at the time. It was really heavy to deal with it. Looking back, I was like, now I get it, why it was happening, but it took some time.
Yeah, it took some time, and that helps you grow too. I think that that's part of like building confidence. It's like part of learning, part of the learning experience when you're like in environments when people don't like you, but still you gotta do your job because you like what you're doing. But still, like it's a challenge for many women. I think like for many women, they really, really there are situations when they really get down and they feel like they are not capable anymore because of what people is just saying around them. So it's a complete challenge.
It is, it really is. So,
Yeah. So what kind of like projects, I'm curious, what kind of projects did you like lead in these organizations?
like I said, in Students for Liberty, I was a program associate. So basically, I was dealing with the volunteers and doing the trainings. So it was pretty great at the time because Brazil is a really huge country. So I could travel like to all five
Yeah.
regions, to the center, the north, the northeast, the southeast, that's where I live, and the south. So I was like traveling all the time and doing the trainings and teaching other people about freedom, about liberty. It was really great. Back in the Iron Lady Institute here in Brazil, I was a translator. So I usually
Mhm.
like pick some articles and books that didn't have a Portuguese version yet. Usually I translated from English to Portuguese. I used to write for their blog too. I also wrote for some like news vehicles, like in their websites. I have some of them published, and I have one academic paper published too. So I'm kind of flowing
Of everything.
around the
Yeah.
libertarian movement. And also at Lola, I was vice president. Unfortunately, I couldn't be the whole period as I wished, but
Yeah.
it was really great. It was really intense. Like being the vice president, you kind of have to be the role model. So you have to really take care of the things you're saying on social media. Not like, oh, you can't say that, but like how you're saying that, you have to be really careful. Yeah, you have to be really
Hmm.
careful for that. So I think each part of my journey, it taught me one thing. So taught me how to be more mature at my job, how to not take things that personal, how to see who are you listening? Is that person really relevant? Is that person like want the job done, or maybe it's personal? So doing all those things and dealing like leading some things, I didn't know I was like a good leader. I never aimed to do that. So like you have some people that are born a leader, and you see like from a young age they're that person that they're leading the soccer team and doing those things, and I was like put in that place. I didn't choose it. So like I remember being in that school, I was never that shy. So I had that advantage that I was like always asking questions in the classroom, and I had like kind of shy friends. They were like, "Oh, can you ask that for me?" And I was like raising my hand and asking that. So people remembered me. And that's another thing. I learned that there are always people looking. So someone's always looking for you. So if you're doing a good job, maybe you're not even seeing that opportunity, but someone's watching. So you're doing your thing, you're writing something, maybe you're posting on your Instagram, and you're like, "Oh, why am I doing that?" And you're gonna hear that a lot. Like if you're posting things, you're gonna hear all the time, like, "Why are you doing that? Like, you don't have that many followers. Like, who do you think you are? You're not famous." And you just have to keep in mind that all famous people weren't famous at some point. Like
Yeah.
they were no.
No
Maybe
one starts from
remember.
the, you're always starting from the bottom, and that's something you gotta learn too.
Yeah, you have to be that humble, I guess. You
Yeah.
have to like just be small and learn to listen, learn from other people, like be the humble person that do questions, and be the person that's like, don't be the person that just goes and say, "Oh, I know it all." You don't. So maybe you can learn from that other person. So like ask more. If you're around someone that's older or someone that's working on something you don't understand, don't be the person that I don't understand from that. So I'm not gonna join the conversation. No, no, be the person that's like, oh, I didn't know about it. Like, can you tell me more about it? And then you make a contact, you make a network, and you're likable. You're like a kind person because you were listening and you were learning. So it's like a happy place for other people involved in that. If I could say something for libertarian women is that like economic freedom is the foundation for all the other freedoms. So don't shy away from the difficult subjects. Don't be afraid of like the tax code or learning about your money and learning more about what to do with it. Like knowledge is like your private property. Like no one can take that from you. You can go like through some really tough times, but your knowledge is something that no one can take from you. I like to say that your name and your knowledge, those are the things you need to protect. Like you need to invest in that. Because I say that about the name, like so don't have a dirty name. So like don't let people talk bad about you. Just protect that. Protect your knowledge, like invest in your knowledge. So I think my mission is kind of to ensure that when a woman builds a business, when she invests in herself some way, that she remember that she don't have to just want to sit in the table. Maybe she wants to ensure the table has always a place for her, not just a seat, not just a temporary seat, but maybe she could be leading that table. She can have more. I think women maybe should dream higher. I should not be the person like, oh, I want the job. No, no, you want the job. You want to be that person. I think we should have that mind.
All right, Lorena, thank you so much for joining us today. It
Well,
was a
thank you
pleasure
for
meeting you.
for it. It was really amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for spending time with us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the podcast and share with a woman who's becoming her. If you want your story to be shared, please email becomingheardpodcast29@gmail.com. See you next time.